Good morning from Daytona Beach, Florida. If you weren't awake yet, you are now. Good morning from the Thunderbirds as well. They're screaming all around Daytona International Speedway. It's time for qualifying in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Our coverage today presented by Geico. Only 1 day away from the Daytona 500. We get you set up today with 300 miles for these Xfinity cars. And the weather all weekend looks outstanding. 63 degrees this morning. Going to go up close to 78 today, I believe. Around 80 tomorrow for the Great American Race. Yesterday, practice for these teams, and here's who was quick. Opening session, they were in the draft. Top of the board, 98, Chase Briscoe. He's going for Rookie of the Year. So is Justin Haley over at Colleague Racing. He was fast in session number 2, where the focus was on the single-car run. Welcome in, everybody, with Michael Waltrip. I'm Adam Alexander. We saw the numbers there. How does it all translate to qualifying, Michael?
Well, we're just going to maybe pick a favorite to win this race through this qualifying session. I know that sounds crazy, Adam, because we're going to draft, so it's going to be different this afternoon. But if you're a racer and you see a guy put his car on the pole, you circle him and you say, I'm going to chase that guy. He can get me to the front if I'm not already there. And the car, there's some cars that are stars today. The new Supra is making its debut, the beautiful Toyota down on the grid. So that'll be fun to watch. And one of the drivers behind the wheel of those Supras, Jeffrey Earnhardt, making his debut with Gibbs Racing. I can't wait to see how he performs today.
What's the balance on setup? This is an impound race. You want to go out and get a good starting position, but ultimately you got to be ready to race later on.
Your crew chief says good luck. Whatever you got in this qualifying session, that's what you're going to have when we go drafting this afternoon. And from what I saw in practice yesterday, cars are crazy. They're handling well, and when they handle well, Adam, it means the drivers take more chances. They were moving in and out of traffic 3 wide, and that was just practice. I can't wait till they go green flag racing this afternoon.
How concerned are you as a driver if you don't get a great starting position? You got to drive through the field.
Well, what happens is if you qualify up front, you say qualifying's important. If you're in the back, you say it doesn't matter. You justify your way to a better place mentally.
You're just selling blue sky, right?
That's exactly what
and
you're
we
doing.
have plenty of that this morning. Cars are on the grid, 38 of them here. They'll all make the field later today. We set the lineup when we return on FS1. First item on our to-do list at Daytona this morning, Xfinity Series qualifying presented by Geico. Here's how we do it. At all tracks 2 miles in length or greater, We got 2 rounds. Top 12 advance to round 2, and then those dozen will run for the pole. Let's say good morning to 2014 Xfinity Series winner here at Daytona, Regan Smith. What do you have for us, Regan?
Well, good morning, Michael and Adam. I've actually got Ross Chastain. He's trying to confuse me early on this year. He's down here talking to the 4-cars. The 4-car guys. You're going to be in that car later this year, but today you're in the 10-car for Colleague Racing. You were 4th on the board yesterday. What do you expect out of qualifying?
Actually, a lot. Our new Trinag Solution Chevy is really fast by itself, and it drives well. It drives good. Chris Rice and Matt Colleague, to be their first driver of the year for their 10 car, they're going to run probably half the season with it, is a big deal. And then, the 4 car, that's my home, that's my family. So Johnny Davis and Gary Keller, and these guys, I'll be with them starting next weekend. So just carrying my helmet around, man, from the truck race last night, and just trying to hustle.
Ross Chastain will drive anything he can, guys. Matt?
I know another guy here on the grid excited to get this season rolling, a brand new Ford Mustang, and you've been chomping at the bit.
Yeah, for sure. About mid-January you want to start getting back going, but we're pumped to have Jacob Companies on the car for this race, and we'll see what happens. I think we try to set up a little bit more for handling, so I don't know where our speed's going to be at, but I think we're just playing to try and be good in the race.
All right, thanks, bud. Guys?
2 drivers that were in the playoffs a year ago. Cole Custer made it down to Miami, runner-up in the championship. And Ross Chastain won last year with Chip Ganassi Racing. Big opportunity for him today. One of 3 starts in that number 10 for Colleague. He wins today. He's in the playoffs. Takes some pressure off as 2019 rolls on. You know, Ricky Bobby, one of the most popular names in NASCAR. We've got Ricky Craven, Bobby Labonte coming up later on NASCAR Race Hub. And here's yet another Ricky Bobby, Chase Briscoe's dog, who makes special deliveries, including that checkered flag when he won the Roval back in September. Let's hear from driver 98. Regan?
Well, Chase was the fastest guy yesterday in both practices, put up the quickest time any car did. That means you go out last for qualifying, but I look down this line, there's a lot of cars to go before you. You're out here already. Are you that excited about today?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I couldn't sleep last night. It's going to be nice to finally get the season going. We announced this deal probably 3 months ago, and this has been the longest off season, I feel like. So, ready to get going today. I feel like, this is the least nervous I've been going into a super speedway race. So I'm excited to see how our Nutri-Chomp's Ford drives today, and hopefully we can get the pole and start out front.
Thanks, Chase.
That 98 car's got a good history at Daytona. Eric Almirola took it to victory lane here a few years ago, summertime 2016, and I would expect we'll have some fun with Chase today. Should be out front, and he's got the ever-popular visor cam.
Yeah, it's certainly something that I look forward to seeing. It just gives you a real solid perspective or what it's like to be in the car trying to negotiate through traffic, inches apart from other race cars. And our Fox cameras capture those cars so well from above, but it looks like it's a pretty smooth ride. When we hop on board with Chase and go on top of his helmet, as you see there, we're going to get what it's really like. Bouncing around, trying to make decisions while your head's spinning, and all this is happening at about 200 miles an hour.
Have you been to Chewy.com recently, Michael?
Not lately.
We've been talking a lot about dogs this week on FS1. Had the Westminster Dog Show. Jamie Little, who will be with us as part of our race coverage later today, was working that with Chris Myers, who's going to host race day from down here at Daytona later this afternoon. On the air, 2:30 Eastern Time. First car in qualifying, the Harmonator, Mike Harmon, 61 from Birmingport, Alabama.
Just saw Myers down in the infield. He's cooking up something really special for the pre-race today and tomorrow. So make sure you tune in because you're going to love what Chris is going to show you.
Is that a teaser?
That's what we call that in the industry, a teaser.
Who's going to be with you on the desk today? You and Chris and
Jamie Mack.
It's pretty good. We got 3 Daytona 500 championships on the desk pre-race. You'll come up here, and it'll be 3 again because Joey Logano, who won in 2015, going to be in the booth with us to call the season opener later today.
And I love the fact that Jamie McMurray's on our team. Such a great spirit, a lot of information. Obviously, he's going to come off the track into the booth and help us understand what is exactly going on for these drivers today, right now. And he's going to do it in a very entertaining way. Jamie's a good cat, and so proud to call him a teammate.
He'll be in the Race Up studios with us on Monday, recapping tomorrow's Daytona 500. First time on the board, 49.699 for Mike Harmon. 3 of 38 cars have been on track. Xfinity Series qualifying continuing here at Daytona. John Jackson has made his qualifying run. You saw the time there. And he is third because Vinnie Miller has jumped to the top in front of Mike Harmon, 49.237 for driver 78. Of course, he's driving a vehicle for B.J. McLeod, who now jumps on track, piloting the 15 for JD Motorsports. How about a rookie making his first Xfinity start here at Daytona, Regan?
Well, rookie making his first Xfinity start, Adam, at Daytona, but not at the plate tracks. You ran Talladega last year, Noah. Had some success, a fourth-place run. So what's your approach to today?
It's so much different handling-wise from here at Daytona. First practice yesterday, and I felt like I was all over the place. It didn't look like that to my teammate Justin Allgaier or on TV when I watched it back, but handling I feel like is going to be an issue today, and so I plan on really just trying to save my race car and hopefully make it to the end. But these guys at Junior Motorsports and this switch team, they've been doing a hell of a job all season, off season long, and just very fortunate to be able to be here down in Daytona.
Adam, don't let him kid you. He will be exciting to watch later today when it gets to the end of this race.
Well, he's got 3 starts in an Xfinity car. You mentioned Talladega. We almost called a victory in his debut at Richmond last spring, Michael.
Yeah, in his 3 starts, I think his average finish is right around 4th. So he hopped in the Xfinity and didn't skip a beat from his truck that he was so successful in.
Fastest in qualifying, Garrett Smithley leading the way. We're live in Daytona Beach, Florida. It's qualifying for the NASCAR Xfinity Series presented by Geico. Fastest right now, Jeff Green, 2000 Series champion, who has a Daytona 500 pole on his resume. 7 cars have been out, and right now it's all about Stephen Light, who wraps up his qualifying run second, 48.854. 3 of the 4 cars from JD Motorsports have made a qualifying run this morning. Next up, 38 of Josh Bilicki, driving for RSSC Racing this season.
It's going to be a hairy ride for this young man this afternoon. Dr. Sasquatch on the hood of that 38 car. I like some of the paint schemes we see down here in Daytona. Corey LaJoie's got a cool-looking car over in the Cup Series, and then This is a fun-looking ride.
First time this company's been involved in NASCAR, and I saw him down in the garage yesterday hanging out with Josh. And Josh, a great kid out of Wisconsin who works really hard, not just on the racing side. He's got a road racing background, but he's one of those hustlers going out and trying to find sponsorship. And right now, looking good, as you point out, Michael, here in the booth. Tracker is green. He is P1 right now, 48.77.
Just 2/1000ths of a second faster than Jeff Green. I like when the drivers say, it really doesn't have a lot to do with me. Well, you can make up 2/1000ths of a second, I think, if you just hold your wheel perfectly still, leave pit road, make sure you get through the gears well. And so Josh overachieved there, I think.
Here's Brandon Brown driving that 86, going to run for Rookie of the Year. 25 from Woodbridge, Virginia, and we've seen him on a handful of occasions over the years in the Truck Series here in the Xfinity side of things. And anytime he shows up, he seems to always find his way to the front, be a part of the equation. I like this race team. Family-owned. His dad, Jerry, working hard to put sponsorship together. And as we pointed out yesterday during practice, Brandon just graduated from Coastal Carolina with honors, doing some marketing stuff in college, and now going to try and make it full-time in NASCAR.
Car's got a nice attitude. Team's done a good job getting that nose right down on the ground. 49.20, about a half a second off our fastest car, Adam, but he can still draft to the front this afternoon.
That puts him 5th on the board. One rule change in 2019 for Xfinity Series is we've gone from 40 to 38 when you look at the starting field. 38 cars here this weekend. All will make the lineup later today. Ray Black Jr. is 7th. He falls to 8th as Matt Mills crosses the line and runs a 49.287. 11 cars have been out so far in this opening round of qualifying. Let's hear from N. Earnhardt. Jeffrey with Regan.
Adam, anytime you get to talk to an Earnhardt at Daytona, it's pretty special, but especially when it's one that's as excited as you are. We were just discussing it. It's been since 2013 at Junior Motorsports when we were teammates that you have had an opportunity this good. How pumped up are you for this year?
I'm extremely excited just to be involved with such a good company as Joe Gibbs Racing and have the sponsors I do with Extreme Concepts and iK9. Man, it's like you said, it's a great opportunity, probably one of the best I've had in a long time.
Not only is it a good opportunity, but if you check his helmet in the background, Adam, he definitely wins the Helmet of the Year award so far. I love his helmet.
Yeah, it's awesome. There was a magazine years ago that featured this photo of his grandfather. He's put that on the back of his helmet. Uncle Dale and Grandfather Dale combining for 3 wins in the Daytona 500 here at the World Center of Racing.
What about that? Just a goat on his horse, the greatest of all time, Dale Earnhardt.
He has 7 Xfinity wins here. He and Tony Stewart tied for the most ever. And Uncle Dale, I think, has 6 in Xfinity competition. So success running in the family. There's Max Tolman. Had a couple of issues in practice yesterday. Qualifies 9th, and we're just over a third of a way, or closing on a third of the way through this first round of qualifying. Next up, Joey Gase in the 35 car. Kid out of Iowa who impressed us. I think it was 2015 when he had that late rally, finished top 5 career best at Talladega, Michael.
Yeah, and he works hard. You talked about Josh Bilicki with the sponsors, and Joey Gase is the same way. He had a chance to run in the dual Thursday night and had a real opportunity to make the Daytona 500, just missed out. But I love his spirit and how much he just wants to race a car. And I think he's going to have a competitive run here in qualifying, which means another top 5 finish in this great race is a certain possibility.
Well, last year, the attrition rate in the Xfinity race here was incredible. So if you can hang around, you got a chance. And we saw it again last night, season opener for the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. Only 9 trucks on track at the end, longest truck race ever, and a huge win for Austin Hill, first of his career.
And right on his bumper was Grant Enfinger, and Grant disappeared for about an hour in the race last night. He got in a wreck and went 2 laps down, made both those laps up, and I said, holy cow, where'd he come from? And he's back in the show. There were so many great stories from that crazy truck race last night, but what a great performance by Austin Hill. Stepping into the championship truck, a lot of pressure, maybe not so much on himself, but from the outside. What can he do in this truck? Well, he proved he is ready for this opportunity.
What a great thing for that team, though, because last year they were a question mark really from June on if they were going to be able to make it week to week. They did, ultimately winning the championship with Brett Moffitt. Moffitt goes over to GMS as they work through their funding problems. Hattori brings on Austin Hill, and he comes out, wins race number 1, puts him right back in the playoffs. So Joey Gase was 7th when he completed his run. And next on the board, the 99 Canadian DJ Kennington driving for B.J. McLeod.
Now, every time I come to Daytona, I'm happy. This is exactly where I want to be in February, and it's because I love this facility. I love the history of Daytona and this event. DJ is talking to him. He feels the same way, but for more reasons than just that. He got out of Canada to get down here, and the weather is perfect. It's going to be a great weekend, and that 99 car showed great speed in the draft yesterday, so I think DJ could be a fun guy to watch, too.
He's 5th of 14 cars that have made a run so far. 15th guy out, 66, Timmy Hill.
Another one of those hot Supras. And, Adam, I just love our car lineup here in the Xfinity Series. You got the Mustang, the Camaro, and the Supra. That's race cars right there, and they look it. Look how sleek that front end is on that Toyota.
Am I too old to drive those makes, Michael?
No. You go through a stage where you're too old, and then you get old, and then it's okay again.
So we've crossed over that threshold?
I definitely have.
What about Matt Yoakum? Matt, are you back in the cool kid category? You could drive a Supra, a Mustang, or a Camaro and get away with it?
I think I could. You know, one of my first cars was a 1986 Ford Mustang GT 5-liter T-tops, black, gray interior, and that was pretty sporty. But Austin Cindric, he's got a pretty sporty Mustang as well. And for you, you know, the comfort has to be going into 2019. Last year, 3 different teams. This year, 1 team.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's an awesome opportunity for me to come back in a second year in the Xfinity Series with all the experience and lessons that I learned last year in my first year and apply it with 1 team throughout the year, really get a process down and have some continuity, consistency, and just go out and execute races this year.
Have a great year, bud.
Thank you.
Austin Cindric made the playoffs as a rookie, and a lot of adversity, as Matt pointed out, driving for 3 different teams, someone certainly to watch as we go throughout 2019, because that 22 car did win the Owners' Championship last season. Timmy Hill goes 3rd, and here is the 51 of Jeremy Clements, who later today will make his 300th career start in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, and he's tracking just ahead of Garrett Smithley, who later today will make his 100th start in the Xfinity Series.
Some nice milestones for those drivers. An equipment upgrade for the guys over at Clements Racing, same sponsor, repairablevehicles.com. Jeremy, a great driver out of Spartanburg, South Carolina, and his qualifying run puts him 5th.
A lot of truckers that are going to repairablevehicles.com right now looking for a little help after last night's race.
Just past 10 a.m. on the East Coast, and cars already on track here at Daytona International Speedway. It's Xfinity qualifying, brought to you by Geico. New leader, Scott Lagasse Jr. from just up the road, St. Augustine, Florida, is quickest. And David Starr just finished his run, 13th for Jimmy Means, a veteran out of Houston, Texas, carrying the Whataburger sponsorship. Let's hear from Justin Allgaier. I would say one of the favorites later today, Regan.
Adam, he absolutely is one of the favorites. But I saw you just a minute ago. You were talking to your spotter, Tab Boyd, for today. A different spotter for you than normal. A lot of hand gestures. What were you guys working out in that conversation?
Everything. You know, when you have a new spotter, it's really difficult to kind of go over all the things that you've learned over time, what he does, how he spots. We worked really well yesterday in practice together. I normally use Eddie DeHaan, which spots for Chase Elliott on Sundays. And with Chase being in this race, we made a swap, and, so far so good. And, just those little timing details. We were just talking about the timing of making passes is so challenging here, especially at a place like Daytona. So our Brent Fresh Agriculture Camaro was really good in practice. We just got to get those little timing details out.
Adam, he doesn't have to worry too much. Tab Boyd has a Daytona 500 win a few years back, so definitely not any slouch in the spotting department.
Yeah, he won here with Joey Logano. He'll be on the spotter stand tomorrow for pole sitter William Byron. Last night was with Johnny Sauter. He knows how to pick a good one. And speaking of good ones, what a lap for Ryan Sieg.
This team, I was talking to team owner Rod Sieg this morning. He sent me a team photo, everybody together. They've made a lot of changes over there at RSS Racing, and I think this team could be a real surprise the way they perform in 2019.
They've had a great mind, great leader over there for a number of years in Cowboy Kevin Starlin, kind of, general manager, crew chief, whatever you need. But now they've added Shane Wilson, who brings a great deal of knowledge, been around the garage for a long time at all levels. He'll call the shots for that 39. I'm excited to see what they do.
They made the playoffs last year, and this year they've upgraded their equipment, added people like you've talked about. So this will be a fun story to follow.
Totally. Here's another entry for Mario Goslin. It's the 90 of Cesar Baccarella, 13th here a year ago. Right now he's second in qualifying behind Ryan Sieg. We're halfway through the opening round at Daytona. Qualifying continues here at Daytona. Top 5, Ryan Sieg, Gray Gaulding, who just completed his run, Cesar Baccarella, Scott Lagasse Jr., and Josh Balicki. Here's Josh Williams in the 36, driving for Mario Goslin. He slots in 9th, and I'm glad for Josh to be driving that car. He's won a couple of ARCA races. He's a Florida kid. And there's the 08 of Gray Gaulding. We mentioned he's 2nd.
That's a strong run for Gray, and that's time for Ryan Sieg and Gray Gaulding. That's going to be borderline on being in the top 12 and advancing to our next round.
What do you have for us, Matt?
Well, Michael had some concern while we were in commercial because Christopher Bell got engaged to Morgan during the offseason. Now, he thought you got engaged in New Zealand, and his big concern, did that mean it still carried over back to the States, but you actually got engaged here?
Yeah, it definitely still carries over, but yeah, we got engaged here and got to go, I guess, on a little, I don't know, racecation in New Zealand. So had a lot of fun this offseason. Got to do a lot of different racing between sprint cars and midgets, but excited to be back here at Daytona to get things kicked off in this brand new Supra.
Now, back in this car again another year. That has to really help you as far as just chemistry with the team and also working on your restrictor plate prowess and learning more about the sport.
Yeah, restrictor plate racing has never really been my forte, so it's not going to be hard to top what we did last year at this race. I think we only made it 10 laps, but I'll tell you what, man, this Rheem Supra has been a lot better than what we had last year at the Speedway races, so hopefully we can get ourselves qualified here and make the second round and, just try and survive. And I think the best way to survive is if we can get up front and try and stay up front throughout the course of the race.
Thanks, Christopher. Regan?
Well, John Hunter Nemechek has one super speedway race under his belt in the Xfinity Series so far, but the car that won that race is the one that you're in now. How excited are you about this race car for later today?
I'm super excited. We drafted really well yesterday. We had some speed in the draft, so that's what matters. It was stable, but just really thankful for Maury Gallagher and the whole GMS organization, Fire Alarm Services, for being on board and giving me this opportunity to run full-time and be here at Daytona. It's nice to be here and know that you're going to be in a seat every single week. So I'm really looking forward to qualifying this thing up front and hopefully staying up there all day.
Thanks, John Hunter.
I want to give a shout out to Maury Gallagher too. He certainly has a strong presence in the truck series, and just seeing another car with a talented young racer like John Hunter Nemechek line up every week to go for a championship here in the Xfinity Series, that's cool. You got Dale Jr. with his Junior Motorsports cars, and just such a solid lineup down in that garage area, and it's fun to see.
That's a car that won last year. That actual race car, Victory Lane Talladega last spring with Spencer Gallagher, and we know Nemechek is going to find his way. His dad Joe won here a number of years ago, so that's cool.
Talked to Christopher Bell, and he was talking about his past performance on the plate tracks, but yesterday he was very happy, and I saw him make some moves that showed me that maybe we should circle him as the favorite for this afternoon. That car seemed very nimble, and it had a lot of speed to it.
Of course, he's a dedicated dirt racer. His soon-to-be wife, Morgan, supports him so well in everything he does. Do you think they honeymoon at like the Belleville Nationals or something like that?
Well, and maybe they'll go to, in the off-season this year, go back to the Chili Bowl and win it again. He's won 3 straight Chili Bowls. Only Kevin Swindell has won more. Kevin won 4. And the success they have out in Oklahoma, that might be a good play. I would just get married there if I was him.
Why not? Well, and he's an Oklahoma kid, so that's great. Noah Gregson is 6th. We saw Michael Annett go to 3rd. 2 cars from Junior Motorsports. Ryan Sieg staying at the top. And you and I were talking during the break, what's it going to take? He's a 47.88. Are we going to get to 47.5?
I thought so, Adam, but darn, that lap by Sieg is certainly a hot one. We know how good that car is, and you can see here, this guy will be a real player this afternoon, and he's only 4th fastest so far, so that might be about it for this round. Sieg might hang on to this thing.
Well, and we're going to start locking people in to that second round. Top 12 advance. 38 cars are here, and Brad Keselowski, the 26th car, on track, and he's in the red. So it appears right now Ryan Sieg's got a real good chance to make it to that second round of qualifying.
We talked about the importance of the driver-spotter relationship. Guys down there talking about how they like to hear a familiar voice in their ears, especially at Daytona. And that's a big reason why Brad's running this race, working on with a new spotter, Coleman Presley, and how they can relate to each other and understand what Brad wants to hear and what Brad likes.
Brad's fourth right now. The story goes that he, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney all get together at breakfast and talk about who's going to run what races in the Xfinity Series. Not sure they did it this year. Not as many events on the board as they shift the All-Star car to that 12. But it's a good opportunity for Brad, as you said, coming here to Daytona to work with his new spotter and get set for the big one tomorrow, the Daytona 500. And here's Jeffrey Earnhardt. Heard from him earlier. We know the Gibbs cars are fast. He's in the red, pacing right around where Keselowski finished up.
I got together and had breakfast with Bubba the other day. That was fun.
We're going to see that tomorrow, part of our pre-race coverage, right?
He's such a fun young man to talk to and to listen to, and he has so much energy for this sport, and I love just hanging out with Bubba.
He's going to join us later this year at Michigan, I believe, making his debut in the Xfinity booth as we continue with our all-star lineup throughout the year. Some great analysts. Jeffrey Earnhardt, first of the Gibbs cars on track. He is fourth. That locks Ryan Sieg into the second round of qualifying. The 39 continues to be P1.
Adam, just read off that top 6, 7 cars and just think about how fun this afternoon's going to be. I mean, so far, Sieg's the fastest. Greg Alding up there, Michael Annett, Earnhardt, Keselowski, Baccarella. That's an interesting mix of experience and success and knowledge about how to go plate racing, and they all have to figure out how to get along together.
I talked to Bobby Dotter in the offseason, and he was very excited and optimistic. But I'm a realist, right? And this team had some ground to make up from last year to this year, and so you got to kind of read between the lines. In are we just optimistic because the season hasn't started, or is there real hope? And I see what Greg Galding's able to do here in qualifying. Bobby Dotter had reason to be optimistic. They've got speed in those race cars. That's outstanding.
Well, and I think people at home, if you're wondering why we have such a diverse mix at the top of different organizations, different levels of experience of drivers, we all have one thing in common in 2019, and it's the bodies on this car. They're composite bodies, and I think that levels the playing field. Teams that don't have the money to go out and go to the wind tunnel week in and week out and tweak and tune on their sheet metal, they just buy these bodies and put them together, and that, for me, means in 2019 we could see a lot of surprises throughout the season, and that makes me happy. I like to see guys underdogs come through and show the world that if they got the right car, they can go out and do the job.
Saw Brandon Jones complete his qualifying effort. He's 7th. 10 cars to go in round 1. The first of those, Justin Allgaier. We know that Ryan Sieg and Greg Galding will move on to round 2. Already in qualifying, seeing a bit of an upset. Mentioned the upset, if you will, last night. Austin Hill getting his first career victory on the high banks at Daytona. Could we see one later today? Allgaier, 7th of 29 cars that have been out. The original schedule said Christopher Bell was next, but it will actually be the 22 of Austin Cindric. No, it's the 8 of Chase Elliott is out.
Aftershocks on that car. That's also Bubba's sponsor for the Daytona 500 tomorrow.
So it'll go 8 Chase Elliott, 22 Austin Cindric, and then we would anticipate the 20 of Christopher Bell. And you mentioned favorites. I know we love the underdog story. We always sell it. Going to be hard to beat someone like this in today's race.
What about that battle to the checkered flag when he won this race a couple of years ago? Just hanging bumpers and fenders. Was that Logano that was up on the outside?
It was Logano, yep.
And they were squeezing each other for every inch they had to get to the checkered. And Chase's hands, I'll never forget, just left and right on that steering wheel, fighting to the checkered.
Going to be a player today. I would anticipate Chase Elliott will be a player here tomorrow. Won that race a few years ago with Dave Ellens as crew chief. One of 3 wins for Dave here at Daytona. He'll be on the pit box for Noah Gragson, the Rookie of the Year contender, later today in the 9. Elliott is 5th. And now we have 8 cars remaining. First up, Austin Cindric, 20-year-old out of Mooresville, North Carolina.
See these drivers, they come to the green flag high on the racetrack and then dive to the bottom and try to stay as close to that yellow line as they feel comfortable. You know, right next to it might be ideal, but if you get it too low, it'll scrub that nose and that'll cost you time. So the ideal line might be a little risky, and staying a couple of feet off of it is safer, but maybe not quite as fast. You have to really balance that.
Been an unbelievable last 6 months or so for Team Penske. Got their first win in the Brickyard 400, courtesy of Brad Keselowski. He won those 3 races in a row. 500th win overall for Penske as an organization. He went in the Hall of Fame, and later today, this organization will look for their first victory here at Daytona in the Xfinity Series, 8th for Austin Cindric. What do you have, Regan?
Oh, Ryan Sieg looking down at his phone right now. He's got timing and scoring up. I can tell you, you're still number 1 on the board. That was a great lap for your smaller team. New crew chief Shane Wilson this year. How much of a part did he play in that?
A huge part. Cowboy, you know what I mean, worked in the offseason. These guys just came along about a week or 2 ago, but they really meshed together and worked really hard, and just can't thank Xfinity for having the series, and Larry's Hard Lemonade for coming on at Daytona, and it's looking like a good start.
Thanks, Ryan.
It is that, and I'm so happy for Rod Sieg, his dad, that whole organization. You won't find a better guy down in the garage area than Cowboy Starlin. We know that, and Shane Wilson's the same way. That's just a great group of racers, guys that like to roll up their sleeves and get with it.
Best start for Sieg here, 16th. He's going to do better than that today. 12th is the worst it will be because he's already locked into that second round. On board with Christopher Bell, he comes back to the line, and he will slot in 7th.
What do you think that means to that team? And Bobby Dotter Racing, some of these teams that are up there in the top, outrunning cars from Joe Gibbs Racing and Penske.
I'm just curious what it does, confidence for the driver. And maybe not as much Ryan Sieg, because I feel like he's been here before and he understands. But for Gray Galding, this has got to infuse some real energy for he and that 08 bunch.
I would almost think that, you know, you could count on 2 hands how many employees teams like Sieg and Galdings have, and organizations that they're going up against with hundreds of employees. And that's impressive. And it's also fun to see, knowing that if you get the right pieces, this body, I think, is probably the key to their success. They don't have the money to tweak and tune the metal that those other teams have, but they're able to buy the same body and put on their car as the top organizations have.
Here's Cole Custer. As you look at the top 6 on the pylon left side of your screen, they're all locked in because we only have 6 cars to go, and as we said, a dozen move on to round 2 to run for the pole. And that is shocking out of Cole Custer, 33rd. Where did that come from, Michael? I didn't see that. His teammate had speed all day yesterday.
Yeah, I think they'll have to go under the hood. Something had to be amiss with that Mustang. That's not normal, and they'll have to figure out what's wrong before we go racing this afternoon.
From Christopher Bell on up, all those drivers now we know will advance, and next on track, the 11 of Justin Haley, and this kid nearly delivered a big one last summer. Penalized coming to the checkered flag, but I think everybody knows he's got talent, and he'll be a threat later today, and look how fast he is right now.
That was just the move of the year. He just overcooked it about a foot, went under that yellow line you see to the left there, and that's not allowed, and NASCAR black flagged him. But this car's cooking again today.
First pole for Colleague Racing as an organization a couple of years ago. Blake Cook at Talladega could get another one here today. Haley is quickest, 47.85. Regan?
Well, Adam, you guys just talked about how big a fast lap can be in terms of confidence for some of these teams. Greg Galding, you have had an extremely quick lap. What does that do for the confidence of not only this team, but you going into today?
Oh, it's so huge. You know, we got a lot of great partners, just bringing on Pure, and turned a new leaf this year. I'm running the Xfinity Series. We got SS Greenlight Racing for Bobby Dotter. Man, I tell you what, that's pretty good. We only got 5 guys on our race team. I call it 6-pack, just like the movie. We only got a couple guys, but they did a great job over the winter. You know, I can't thank Pure, Flywheel, all our partners. You know, we had high expectations going into the equipment, you know, this weekend what we had, but I mean, to sit P3 on the board with a lot of great teams and a small group is pretty exciting. So even my confidence is pretty high right now. So I'm looking forward to the race.
Thanks, Gray.
Well, you can feel that energy.
I said you could count on two hands the amount of employees. Let's go with one with that team. I'd say Rod Sieg and the Sieg Racing team has maybe 10 or 12, but that tells you what an upset that is and how cool that is.
You ever work with a six-pack? I mean, that's what he said they've got down there.
I've worked with one or two.
Colleague racing is fast. Haley is in the number 1 position. Ross Chastain is 4th. Chastain going to run 3 races in that 10 car. And the rest of the season, he'll run in the 4 for JD Motorsports. 3 cars remain to hit the track in this first round of qualifying. And here's a look at John Hunter Nemechek, 23 for GMS. And I would say when we go green later today, we'll be talking a lot about him.
Yes, son. I think you're exactly right. And he has pretty good speed here, Adam. Looks like he will make – oh, he's losing some ground, 2/10 off. That would still squeeze him in. But now he's fading pretty good.
Look at some of the names in our top 12 right now. I mean, we talked at the top about Sieg and Gaulding, but Cesar Baccarella is up there as well, driving for Mario Goslin. So this could be an interesting second round of qualifying, depending on what these last couple of cars do here.
Mario Goslin's team there with Baccarella's in. Justin Allgaier from Junior Motorsports out, along with Brandon Jones from Gibbs.
Allgaier was on the bubble. Nemechek jumps to 12th, and here's the reigning champion, new team Tyler Reddick, driving the 2 car in 2019 for Richard Childress.
And celebrating 50 years of NASCAR's Richard Childress Racing. Watch this. This is as good as it gets. Watch this. Tell me that don't wake you up in the morning.
Now, as you ride with Chase Briscoe, bottom right of your screen, check the tracker. Tyler Reddick with an incredible lap. Back to the line, and the 2 is number 1, 47.66 for the champ who won this race a year ago.
That's a statement, huh? By 0.2 of a second. Be interesting to see. I think the cars will all go a little bit faster in the second round, Adam. You get all your fluids heated up a little bit.
Last car, round 1, Chase Briscoe. Quickest in practice yesterday, but that was in the draft. And we saw his teammate Cole Custer have some issues. The tracker says Briscoe is going to be a player, tracking just about a 10th off right now.
That's just a perfect line. You can see that yellow line beside him. His hands very calm, very still.
Austin Cindric on the bubble. And it appears he will get knocked out.
Daytona is a pretty smooth track, but you can see the head is bobbing around there as he works the bottom of this racetrack.
It is smooth. My back hurts watching this.
You couple all that bumping around with 37 other cars inches apart, makes for a long afternoon of work for these young racers.
Briscoe advances. Cindric does not. Nemechek, Allgaier, Jones, Gregson, some of the drivers that will not move on to the second round of qualifying. Round 1 goes to Tyler Reddick, the champ, picking up where he left off here at Daytona. It's a big day here at Daytona. NASCAR Xfinity Series opening up 2019 at the World Center of Racing. Our coverage begins with race day, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Then Joey Logano joins Michael and me in the booth. It is going to be a great Saturday afternoon. You just need to keep it right here on FS1. Round one of qualifying complete for Xfinity teams, and these are the drivers not moving on. They will start from 13th to 38th later today.
Yeah, but if you're on this page and possibly
or that
even
page.
on this page as well, you are going to be in the lead draft up there seeing if you can get it done when we throw the checkered flag this afternoon. Is there another page, right?
Well, we got John Jackson and Cole Custer at the bottom, and Custer by far and away the most puzzling effort of round one. What happened there, Regan?
Well, Adam, they are over his right shoulder right now, changing the engine in this race car. Cole, was there any surprise to you as to what took place out there? Did it give any hint that it had a problem?
Once we pulled in the garage, it had a little bit of vibration, and once we tried to fire it up in here, it wasn't running good. So it looks like we're going to try and change the motor. It's kind of weird. I mean, we didn't have any signs of anything. You know, we didn't push it too hard or anything. It's just, you know, I mean, they build great engines at Roush Yates. Just, you know, I think something went wrong. But I think, you know, starting from the back, we'll be fine. You know, just work our way up there, and we'll see what happens.
Adam, the good news is at Daytona, we've got a little bit more time between qualifying and the race, so they have a little more chance to fix it here.
That's right. We're looking at the top 12. These are the drivers moving on. You called it. You said there had to be a problem under the hood, Michael.
Yeah, and that's what happened. And obviously, these guys have great engines under their hood. And I just love some of those upset stories. Cesar Baccarella makes the top 12. Did you see that coming, Adam?
I did not. And regardless of what happens in round two, he will, in fact, have his best career start coming up later on today in the race. What do you have, Matt?
Catching up with Justin Haley, P2 in round one. So you missed it by about 2/10. Do you feel like maybe there's 2/10 in the driver as far as maybe you might have scrubbed a little bit of speed somewhere?
I don't know. We got a really fast leaf filter gutter protection Chevrolet here. Our RCR teammate Tyler obviously very fast, but really proud of the ECR engine shop for bringing fast motors to Daytona. Got Ross up there as well. So I'm just super happy to be in Daytona, have this opportunity to go Xfinity racing with colleague racing. Means a lot to me. This weekend has just been amazing for me, and so happy to finally get this opportunity and race. So we'll see if we can pick up 2/10 and challenge Reddick here for the pole.
Good luck. Adam?
Great run last year in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. 3 victories, made his way to Miami, running for the championship. We'll have round two coming up. Gorgeous day here in Daytona Beach. The boats are on the water, and the cars are on the track. Going to go up close to 80 degrees today, similar tomorrow for the Daytona 500. Of course, our coverage tomorrow begins 11 a.m. Eastern Time with race day on FS1. And then we go over to Fox at 1 o'clock, and the green flag should fly tomorrow around 2:30. Similar time today for the green flag. Race day gets us going later this afternoon on FS1 at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So here are the 12 drivers that advanced. We put them on track in reverse order of where they finished round one, and that means Cesar Baccarella leads us off.
He just leaves pit road, made a nice exit off of pit road there, had the engine really wound up.
47.66. I mean, how low do we go here in round two? That was the top time in round one. What do you think?
Well, like I said earlier, I just feel like you can pick up a little speed here because your fluids are warm now. They're able to keep the engine cool, but the tires have a little heat in them. The drivetrain does as well, the wheel bearings, and that should mean a little bit freer rolling car, which could relate to more speed.
You and I talked about this off the top about an hour ago, but how much of the speed we see in these cars in qualifying could be a detriment later today and vice versa, given the balance of an impound day?
Well, it's interesting. It's an interesting mix, Adam, because you've got the potent RCR car that was the fastest, and we know he thinks he's going to go win this race. Now, you might say Baccarella's got his car all skewed out or tuned up just to go fast in a straight line, and it won't handle well. But I don't know if that's necessarily the case. There's not a whole lot you can do with these rules to change your car, but you can make it a little bit tighter the way the handling is, which would mean when you're buffeting around those other 37 cars in the draft, you have more comfort. So I'm going to be really interested to watch this race this afternoon and see if one of those guys that qualified outside of the top 12 might have a handling car and is able to drive right to the front.
Baccarella finished 13th here last year, driving for B.J. McLeod. Today he drives the 90 for Mario Goslin. First round was a 48.16. 48.03, so he picks up a tenth of a second here, essentially, Michael.
Yeah, and that's just because of what we talked about. The car's warmed up, it's ready to go, and he peaked it out right there.
And now Christopher Bell, who appears to have way more confidence than we've ever seen when it comes to his plate program, putting his hand out, trying to help the aerodynamics. Is that what he's doing there?
Yeah, we saw him playing with the window net ever since he got on the racetrack, and that's just a driver who's got a perfect line around the racetrack. We talk about how important the driver is with running these laps. He wants to be precise and perfect. He's even trying to hold air out of his car, get it around the car instead of in it, which could provide an extra hundredth or two of a second, which could be the difference.
He's tracking to go to the top. We'll continue to follow Bell. Meanwhile, let's get a report on the 2 of Tyler Reddick. Is there a problem there, Regan?
Well, a little bit of a story developing here. They've got a left rear tire that has got a little hole in it, and it's going flat on them. So not sure if he's going to get to go out and make another run here or if they're going to try and air it up and make a lap. Not sure what the plan is yet for these guys.
Now, if you change that tire, Regan, is that a change that would be allowed between qualifying and the race? Because the worst he would be starting officially is 12th, even if they don't make a run here. But would he, in fact, have to go to the rear if he makes this tire change because of a change prior to the race on an impound, meaning he'd have to drop to the back? What are your thoughts there? Any word on that yet?
Well, no word on that yet, Adam. I think that would be at the discretion of the NASCAR officials, so that's something they would have to discuss after this qualifying session. If they deem they do need to change it, I think at this point it's looking like it's probably going to have to be changed after qualifying one way or another. The biggest decision now is if they can get back out or not.
Well, that's a little risky, Regan, to just put air in it and then go, because if that cut gets bigger, it could blow that tire out and tear the whole side off the car. So the team will have some decisions to make there.
Some drama in qualifying. Bell is quickest. Baccarella is second. Here's Brad Keselowski.
Chase Briscoe's getting her wound up as Brad finishes up his run and goes to the top of the pylon with a 47.89.
Nice pickup. Couple of tenths there.
Watch Briscoe up. Talks about running high, coming to get the green. But watch how he tries to run down the hill in the tri-oval as best he can to get all the momentum right there at the start-finish line, and now a holder low. You don't hear that engine bogging down at all. These cars are set up to be as free as they can possibly be through the corners. He's holding a perfect line, just following the yellow line. A little bit iffy getting in the corner right there. The turn kind of sharpens up, it feels like, as you go through the center. And watch, see if he can keep it right on the line or if he wanders up off of it, exiting a little bit high there. You want to make sure you don't bog the car down as a driver. Give it a little bit of its own way.
48-11 in round one. Round two for Briscoe, 47.93. He does pick up, but not fast enough to up in Brad Keselowski, who remains in the top spot. 4 cars have gone. It's Keselowski, Briscoe, Bell, and Baccarella. We're a third of the way through this second round of qualifying, and next up, 2016 Daytona winner, 2014 champ, and Rookie of the Year. Here's Chase Elliott.
I could ride around with Chase Briscoe all afternoon. I love that visor cam. It just feels like I'm back in the race car again driving. It's such a great view.
I just love the fact that he grew up in Indiana, racing sprint cars. His dad did the same, and now he's made his way to NASCAR, and his first full-time ride at this level, running for the championship. Tony Stewart is the owner, who has a similar background. It's got to be a dream come true for him, and really going to be enjoyable to watch him throughout this season.
Look at that nose, just right down on the road. Those teams, it fascinates me that they can make that nose ride right on the ground when you're going down the straightaway when the tires aren't really that loaded up. Then you go in the corner when you load the tires and it's still right there. That's science.
These Chevys are fast today. We go from a Chevy to a Toyota.
No doubt. Camaro to a Supra.
That's Jeffrey Earnhardt driving the 18, first of 9 starts this year for Joe Gibbs Racing. What's the latest with the driver that was quick in session number 1, Regan?
Adam, they're going to give it a go. They've just pumped this tire up with a lot of air to see how long it would take for it to go down, and they timed it for about 2 minutes. They were sitting here with a stopwatch. Richard Childress himself was over here with Randall Burnett looking at the tire, timing it, getting ready to see if they could make this run. They've decided they can make this run. They want to get the pole. Let's not forget, this will be the 4th straight pole for RCR down here, so a lot of pride on the line to get that. They feel confident that it can make the lap.
It'd be the 5th time they won a pole here in the last 10 races when qualifying was held at Daytona. 2 Gibbs cars advancing. 1 is Bell. The 2nd is Earnhardt, and he is fast. 18, position number 1, 47.70 for Jeffrey Earnhardt. That is awesome. Matt?
Hey guys, yeah, talking about further add on what Regan was talking about, and I was talking to a couple different team members, and they are shooting for that record of, the 4 straight there. But the other issue is, once he makes that run, they'll have to change the tire, and then he'll have to start at the back.
So there you go. There's the other piece of it.
Cole Custer will have a buddy then. A couple of potent race cars in the back of the field, and that picture of Richard Childress down on pit road. How about hands-on for 50 years?
Saw him in the garage yesterday.
But this just shows you that man is all about racing. We got a flat tire, Richard. You better get down here. I mean, he's whatever the cause is, he's there with his hands and arms around it, and that just makes me so happy. We had an Earnhardt on the track and Childress down on pit road. Makes me smile being here at Daytona. The history that those two and that families have together. It's a great Saturday morning.
2 junior motorsports cars able to advance from round 1 to round 2. The second of those has made his run. Michael Annett is second behind Earnhardt. 7 of 12 have been on track as we try and run down the pole here at Daytona International Speedway. And here's an RCR affiliated car. This is Ross Chastain.
I got to admit, I'm surprised that Jeffrey was able to pick up 3.5 tenths. I mean, I was thinking a couple of tenths. That's huge.
First round for Ross Chastain was a 47.96.
Every car so far has picked up, but wow, that's a nice jump for Jeffrey Earnhardt in that 18 car.
So Chastain goes. We've talked about Tyler Reddick. Greg Gaulding hanging out there. Justin Haley had speed. And Ryan Sieg, the other drivers that we will see on track before we wrap up qualifying at Daytona. Chastain tracking right around third, and that's where he will end up, 47.87 for the driver out of Alva, Florida, who has got a busy speed weeks. Third last night in the Gander Outdoors Truck Series race here, racing for Colleague this afternoon. Daytona 500 in the 15 car tomorrow as we see Greg Gaulding pulling out to make his qualifying run.
Ross Chastain is used to being busy. He ran 74 races in 2018 across the top 3 NASCAR series. He talked about having his helmet and traveling. He did a lot of that last year from car to car, and I don't expect it to be much different this year.
Part-time in trucks, but going to run full-time Cup and Xfinity. But his focus, he signed up for points in the Xfinity Series. If he could go out and get a win today, lock himself into the playoffs, really would take some pressure off when he returns to the 4-car in JD Motorsports next weekend at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Best qualifying effort in his career for Greg Gaulding was 11th, and trying to better that here today and tracking quite nicely. SS Greenlight Racing and Bobby Dotter making their presence known at Daytona.
Oh, wait, that just reminds me of Bobby Dotter. That's been his number for 100 years. You talk about Ross Chastain, if he wins here, he locks himself into the playoffs. I think it's more about winning at Daytona. He's a Florida kid.
Oh.
Getting that trophy from this racetrack would be the biggest day in his career for sure.
Talking about a Florida kid, here's a young man out of Georgia, Ryan Sieg. Best qualifying effort entering today at Daytona was 16th, so he's going to better that. And you look at a lot of these cars that have speed, some connection to Richard Childress Racing. This is another one.
Justin Haley now, Adam, he's cheering for his car about at this point. He said, come on, baby. Let's get wound up and go get him.
Ryan Sieg is 6th.
Yeah, that's a great run for that team. Happy to see that. Now let's see what Haley has. Watch his hands as he just tries to finesse that car. I don't know where that one's going. He's going to finesse that one-handed. See how steady his hands are? That's a perfect job. Wonder what that just must be a habit of his to pull the hand off the wheel and put it down by the transmission area. Watch him right back to the wheel and cuts it into the turn. See how sharp it is down into turn 3? That's a real critical part of making a smooth lap around here. And I'm telling you, this is happening at 190 miles an hour. Very tense. Now on the scale of what a race car driver needs to do to be successful, qualifying at Daytona and Talladega is probably one of the easier things they have to do. And what's crazy, when they throw the green flag here in a couple hours, it's going to become the hardest thing that they've ever had to do. Jockeying in that traffic, using the draft, and putting yourself in a position to make those bold, fun last lap runs to the checkered.
How anxious is this lap for Tyler Reddick, given the issues they had with that tire, Michael?
I'm nervous if I'm Reddick a bit because, you don't know that just because they aired it up and it didn't let down in less than 2 minutes on pit road. You take that thing up to speed, who knows what might happen.
Tracking in the green, looking for the 5th consecutive pole in the February race for Richard Childress Racing at the Daytona International Speedway.
Looks like we're going to have a Childress and an Earnhardt front row. How cool is that?
Now he changes that tire, drops to the rear, and he'll be back there with Cole Custer. But as of now, he is the pole sitter for the season opener at the World Center of Racing. See that water spraying out of the overflow there. Tyler Reddick out front for now. Third career pole, and it's 5 in a row for RCR. NASCAR Xfinity Series qualifying presented by Geico is complete. The front row for today's 300-miler, Tyler Reddick, Jeffrey Earnhardt. Our coverage continues in a moment. You're watching live on FS1. We're happy you're here. The field is set for the NASCAR Racing Experience 300 later on today, and the pole sitter is Tyler Reddick, who is the reigning champ in the Xfinity Series. We'll hear from him in a moment. First to Matt Yoakum.
Popular run by the gentleman on the outside pole, Jeffrey Earnhardt, who stopped by and shook your hand, congratulated you.
Richard, he had to come rub it in, I think. We missed it just by a little bit there, but when you look back at where they were last year, man, these guys worked their guts off this offseason to get their speedway program better, and it shows, man. It's can't be first. I guess we'll start on the front row with second.
This is impactful for a lot of reasons.
It is, this is probably one of the best opportunities I've ever had in my life, in my whole racing career. So, I just can't thank the guys at Joe Gibbs Racing for giving me the opportunity. All the guys at Extreme Concepts, IK9, they're the ones that made it possible, man. They jumped behind me last year and really wanted to see me get a great opportunity, and I got that here. So, hopefully we can keep it up front. I don't know if we have some help, we might get pushed out front and just stay there the whole day.
All right, good luck. Capitalize on it.
Try our best.
Regan?
Well, a big grin on Tyler Reddick's face when he got out of the car. Richard came over here, gave you a nice hug. He was equally as happy. How nervous were you about that tire during your lap?
I wasn't really worried about, my safety, I guess, I would say, during that lap with that tire. I was just worried that something happened, we'd tear our great car up. I mean, this Pinnacle Financial Partner Chevy Camaro is really fast, and when Randall told me yesterday that we were going to be in contention for the pole, I didn't know what to think because I thought our car handled really good in the draft, but it's obviously got a lot of speed in it too, so this thing's just a rocket ship. I'm really excited to be over here at RCR. It's really cool for us in this group to our first outing get a pole, keep the streak alive for the Daytona openers, getting an RCR car on the pole, and these guys at ECR, man, just built some great motors. I went down there this winter, got to know some of those guys. They work really hard. It shows up at the Rolex. I mean, they put together some great motors. So it's just a privilege to be here in the 50th year.
Add another one to the Reddick reel. Championship win at Daytona. Now he's a pole winner here as well, Michael.
He's got a flair for the dramatics, doesn't he? Does a nice job behind the wheel, and you could see the optimism in his face and how fast that car is. It's going to be fun to watch him rally from the back, I guess, Adam, right?
Looking at the grid, tell me who can't win today.
I don't want to go there. I think anything can happen when we go racing this afternoon.
Joey Logano in the booth with Michael and me. Race day happens at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We look forward to that. Next on-track activity here at Daytona. Final practice for the Daytona 500. It comes your way in 1 hour. Right now, we're going to the Race Hub studios. They'll get you caught up on everything NASCAR. Let's send it to Lindsey Zarniak.